welcome to this new episode on the Digital Nomad Mom Podcast. This podcast is all about the digital nomad lifestyle. It's coupled with lifestyle hacks and how to make money online and family topics of a good measure. And I am here today with Colette Moine, and she is a very interesting person, and I'm glad she joined me today. Hi, Colette. Thanks for taking your time, and I'm really, really curious and looking forward to your story. Before I hand over to you and let you introduce yourself, I just quickly tell you that Colette is a free-spirited adventurer, and she started traveling in her early childhood. She dropped anchor in the Galapagos Islands, where she is a recognized guide and leader in the scuba diving world. She now has jumped on a mission to travel the world with her two boys and is doing so by leading free souls into creating a leveled nomadic lifestyle through her online community. So, wow, this is a very exciting mission that you're on, and it sounds like a very interesting story you have to share. So, Colette, I hand on over to yourself. Maybe you give us a quick overview of how you actually stumbled into the nomadic lifestyle and why.
Hi, Julia. Thank you for having me here.
Mhm.
So, yes, basically, I have been always traveling. My parents are French and they moved to Ecuador. I was a baby. So, I was already on a plane at 1 year old and I was already crossing the oceans. So, for me, hopping on a plane was just like happiness. So, I've kept with this kind of lifestyle all my life. And this led me into working in tourism in the Galapagos Islands. I worked and lived there for over 20 years where I became a guide and I take people on tours on the liveaboard cruises that we have around the Galapagos Islands to show you all the beauty that we have with all the animals and all the things. And I'm just truly passionate about that place. It's amazing. I stopped school when I was 15 and I started working, so I just went straight into that and I dived in. I can literally say it because I dived in into my new work, which is also a scuba diver. So I lead groups underwater to see the beautiful sharks and stuff like that. And this was always something that I've always been traveling. So I had opportunities to sail across the Pacific a few times
Wow,
on a boat, on sailboats, all the way to New Zealand. So those were some pretty impressive adventures.
that's amazing.
And then, yes, it was just pretty amazing. 21 days out at sea without, touching ground, or you smell the land before you actually reach it. It's amazing. It's something that I've always loved doing. And then when I decided to have family, I was like, well, now I have to settle and sit down and just like, forget about it. And then I'm like, no, I don't want to forget about it. I want to travel with my kiddos. So we had a plan with my husband, my ex-husband, to move to New Zealand. We were going to move with the family to New Zealand, but then this didn't happen either. I went through a divorce, and then it was like kind of 6 years of like, what am I going to do? My kiddos were really small. My youngest was 7 months old when I divorced.
Okay.
The other one was 3 years old. So it was really hard time. And then I was like, who am I? It's like suddenly you're not anything else than the mom of, you
Mhm.
know. So after a while, when I got back on track and being able to get back on my feet, I was like, I have a dream. I had a dream. I wanted to travel with my children. Okay, maybe my husband is not part of the picture anymore, but this is not going to stop me. So then about 3 years ago, I was like, well, we're going to do this. It's like, this is what makes me happy. And if it makes me happy, then my kids are going to be happy. So I was feeling resentful and I was feeling miserable. I even went through depression because I was forced
Mhm.
to live in this structured lifestyle that was the 9 to 5, but it wasn't the 9 to 5, it was the 8 to 1 Monday to Friday school
Yeah.
that I had never had a daily routine like this. So then the daily routine was the school that my kids had to go to. That was just like, that's not the way I like things. So then about a year ago, I started planning this, and now I'm doing it in spite of a pandemic or everything. we managed to travel. Okay, so there's been thousands of different things happen because we were scheduled to jump on a sailboat in the in Panama to go across the Pacific with my kids on a sailboat.
Oh,
Okay, with a New Zealand family. So obviously this didn't happen this year, but I know that it will happen at another moment when the pandemic is over.
yeah.
And in the meantime, we were in the Galapagos for the lockdown, for the first lockdown. So in the meantime, I was like, what am I going to do now? So then I was like, well, actually, we have the French passport. Why don't we go and fly to France?
Mhm.
At least in Europe, we will have more chances to travel on a shorter distances.
Mhm.
And then it will be possible to still live the way I dreamed about it. So, in spite of a pandemic, here I am doing it. Yes.
So you are now in France?
I am in France at
Not
the
France.
moment. Yes.
Okay, okay, okay. Yes, that's cool. But in France, okay, I don't want to go too much into detail of COVID-19, but is are you now not in lockdown at the moment?
I am in lockdown. I am back in lockdown, but I am still, my mind is still on full time travel mindset because I'm house sitting, I'm hosting a workaway person. So if I cannot travel, I will bring travelers to me. And
Right.
then it's an exchange, a cultural exchange. And so I have right now another mom that got stuck in the lockdown that is from Jamaica that is staying with me as a workaway, and she's teaching my kids English. So we're working, we're traveling even though we are in lockdown, we are traveling because we're discovering about cultures and different places from all the encounters that I create. Mhm.
Hey, that's so inspiring and so yeah, so wonderful to hear that even this pandemic doesn't stop you because so many people have excuses when they say I cannot realize my dreams because XYZ, and it just shows that yes, you can. Maybe sometimes life throws you stones into the way, but then you just go around, and that's very amazing. What I wanted to go a little bit into detail, a little bit more. Let's go back to that moment where you decided, I need to reinvent myself. I want to still continue the way, living the way I always wanted to live, and I lived before your separation with your husband. So maybe people are out there listening and saying, so okay, if she did that in this extreme situation, and I'm maybe in a similar situation, or even without kids, or with, you know, how do you, how did you make it happen that you definitely had to set some time aside, or reorganize your day? How can you share a little bit about that?
Like on the logistical part and making it happen, had to still travel in spite of all these things.
No, I'm earlier at that stage when you decided you didn't want to keep going in your 9 to 5, in your
Oh,
eight to
yes.
one, you know?
So the first one was obviously well, I decided first, and you get me back on track if it's not clear.
Yeah.
But then I was single, and then my kids were missing me also because my work meant going away to the Galapagos Islands because now I am living in Quito, in the capital of Ecuador,
Uh,
but my work is on the islands. So when I would go to work, it would be 1 week, 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks away from home. And
wow.
with young kids like that, it wasn't good. It's like already they suffered from the divorce and not having their dad in the picture anymore, to their mom leaving and them staying with a nanny in the house. No, so this was all what brought me to like, how can I do this? How can I make this happen? How can I make it work for my family? Because I wasn't happy, my kids were not happy. So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
so maybe by traveling full lifestyle and turning to world schooling, then that would be a way that I can do it. How did I make it happen? So yes, so then I was, my kids and I were not happy because of this lifestyle that we were always away and not together. So then this brought me to, what can I do to improve this? And then I started joining other groups on Facebook. One of them is called Single Moms Do Travel. And then I was like, I'm not the only crazy one that does this or that thinks this way, you know? And this brought me also a lot of like security, because I was like, obviously asking myself the questions like, everybody is asking me, it's like, how can you even think about traveling the world on your own with two kids on the toe? How are you going to do it? You are crazy and all that. So it was first about the connections, knowing that I wasn't alone. So belonging with a community online that was doing it as well already. Because this group that I met, that I joined, already had 5,000 moms in it, you
Mhm.
know? And I'm like, wow, it's not that I'm alone. So how I started is by connecting with all these amazing moms, and obviously how do you do it, what are you doing, how can you finance it and everything. And
Mhm.
it's been over a year now that I am in the creation, like creating my online business and recreate myself so I can do this on a full time. I first started with savings. I was, once I'm focused, once the mindset knows that you're going to do this, it's like you start thinking about every penny you spend. You know, it's like, do I really need this coffee? Or
Mhm.
can I save those $3 for the extra cappuccino? You know, can I save them for my trip? And then it's in the piggy bank. You know? So you change the mindset first, because then you're going to be getting rid of all your material things. And I had already done that six year prior, because I was moving to New Zealand with my husband and my kids. We had two suitcases and that was it. We had
Mhm. Nice.
sold all our belongings,
Okay.
but then I had to start over. And then again, after 6 years, like, how can you accumulate so much stuff and then just get rid of it all once again and then just pack everything in a suitcase? And what I discovered is that really what brings happiness to me is more the experiences and the exchanges, and especially in traveling like this, it's not just like sightseeing or, you know, like doing the bucket list and I want to do the China wall and this and that. No, no, no. It's more about the people and the connections that will become, that will be created upon this journey.
Yeah.
So that was for me the most important, and that is for me the most valuable thing I have
Okay.
in my suitcase. You know, it's the experiences, it's all the encounters, and I couldn't care less if I don't have the proper clothes or anything. Those are only material things that are not really needed. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
So
Yeah. Very, very.
changing the mindset. Hmm.
Yeah, I think everything in life is connected with your mind. If you can imagine it, or what's the saying? If you can dream it, you can make it happen. And that's true. And yes, you followed your gut feeling. This is very brave. Not everyone is capable of doing so. And you obviously also had the support of your kids. Or now, if people are listening with children and say, "Oh, but my children, they don't want to travel, or they want to go somewhere else or stay with their friends," how is that working out for you? Or has been working out?
So that was a very important question I asked myself, and I asked them as well. So basically, I decided that I would like to do this. I first kind of started like, okay, let's give this a try for 1 year, you
Mm.
know. And because you need framework, and everybody's asking you, it's like, what? You're getting rid of all your life, and you don't know where you're going to be in 1 year from now? That is impossible, you know. It's impossible. No. I'm like, yes, it is, but you know, to keep it in the frame and not to drive everyone crazy, I said I'm going to take a 1 year sabbatical.
Okay.
Okay. And I threw that to my kids. It's like, well, what about what are the countries? So we started like taking the maps out and like, what are the things that you are interested about? What would you like to discover? And I felt like the age of my kids was very important. So I waited until they would be a little bit bigger. So basically, when I started with this idea of traveling around the world, then I brought up the idea to my kids. They were a little, I mean, this was about a year, 2 years ago, let's say. So they were 5 and 8.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 5 and 8, and we started like opening the world map. You know, we have obviously all the atlas and all the things, and already Mama was traveling one. So also I am a scuba diver, so I was bringing them my videos, my underwater videos about the diving and stuff. So this is where Mom is when she is not with you. So then this brought curiosity. They were curious about it. And then because I've always traveled in my life, I've always also hosted fellow travelers
Mm.
in our house. So this was something totally natural. I don't think it was something like really disturbing. It's like, you know what? We host these travelers all the time. So what about we do it ourselves now?
Mm-hmm.
What about we go around and start traveling a little bit and connecting with all the amazing people that we have hosted so far? And so we started by planning this, and and they were on board with it. And my youngest boy was a little afraid. One of the things that he really didn't enjoy or was worried about is like, I'm gonna miss my friends. I'm going to lose my friends and I won't be able to see my friends. But then we turned it out like, it's like I started traveling 40 years ago. There was no internet or these that we're doing right now. But right now, my boy can talk to his friends every single day, just a click away from the screen, you know?
Yeah.
And so they connect. So now they're world citizens because they really have friends all over the world and they will be calling each other and they will be doing it that way. So really it's all about the mindset and doing this mindset work with your kiddos. It's like it's not something that you impose to them. It's like we're gonna do this together. We're gonna do this together. Where would you like to go? So for example, I know the China wall is something high on my kid list. My
Okay.
7 years old wants to learn Chinese and wants to go to the China wall. It's like, well, okay, that will be someday. It will be in our travel
Mhm.
at one point, but it's not like I'm going to be like, no, we're going to have to go this way and we're going to do things this way. So we have come to the fact that we make decisions together. Obviously not all of them,
Yeah.
but I will put this on the table. You know what, it's like,
Yeah.
okay guys, you know what, the sailboat didn't happen in Panama, we're stuck in the Galapagos, we were planning to fly to the US, what should we do now?
Mm.
All these options are gone, what should we do? So brainstorm with me. Hey, what about our French passports? Would you like to go and hang out in France? It's like, yes, let's go to France. Yay. Okay. And here we are in France.
Yeah.
And then who knows where we will go. So it's being open and free also means that you are able to catch up on any opportunities. So if tomorrow you say, Colette, come and hang out with us in Thailand, and it's
Yeah.
like, let me check if I can book a flight, gone off
Yeah.
because they're nothing. So it's completely different way of living because you're free from all the structure that doesn't let you move in the classic, in
Yeah.
the social life that we have been imposed kind of. Hmm.
Or maybe also since you're not a typical tourist anymore, once you decide to do it for a full time basis, then you're also not. Yeah, obviously you have the time of as much time as you want to, so you don't have to tick off all the sites like people who only go on vacation for 2 weeks. So it's very different that way, and yeah, it's a cool way. I love it too. I mean, you can spontaneously decide if you stay somewhere or if you move on the next day or the next week, next month. So yeah, it's wonderful. So unfortunately, I cannot invite you to Thailand at this moment. Not
I know.
yet, but we will.
I will get there at some point.
Yeah, maybe we will see, or I'm sure we will cross paths somewhere on this planet. This is the beauty of connecting with like-minded people, I find.
Exactly.
That's why I love
Hmm.
to host this show as well, and it's been great so far. We've reached almost the end of the time now, and just as a last question, maybe you want to tell people your current project. You told me a little bit before we started this interview that you're about to launch a membership site, and just quickly, briefly, give us a little bit of yeah, an insight of what you're doing. Then.
Yes.
Work.
So one of the biggest challenges that I find of everyone that is asking me how do you do it is like how do you do it alone? You
Hmm.
know, it's like I would be so afraid and terrified of being in a foreign country and becoming sick, or not knowing how to do this, not knowing how to do that. And then one way I found is that like with the connections I have pretty much at least one person in each country that I know or that I am in contact with. So in that way, I figured that one of the best ways for me to continue with this lifestyle is also by taking other people that don't necessarily dare do it yet, and they will I will show them the process, so all the networking on how to do it, how to pack, how to minimize your life and everything. So for that, I have been working a whole year into creating a membership site, and it's going to be launching by the end of well, by the mid-December for my birthday. And it's going to be launching pretty soon, and it will be all about everything you need, like starting what you mentioned, Julia, the mindset, and then how you can like minimize your life, and then how you can start planning and networking, and then packing and all the legal, all these. So it will be one place where you have all the advice and all the things you need, plus the most important one, the community,
Mm,
that that no matter where you are, anywhere in the world, you are just one click away from your community. So you will never feel alone because your community will always be with you.
perfect. Oh, this sounds exciting. I wish you all the best with this project. Keep us posted, and I will post the link. If you give it to me,
Yes.
I will post the link below this video or the podcast description, and so that people can check it out once it's launched. And yes, amazing. Thanks so much for your inspiring story, for this energy that comes through, that you're really passionate about it. And I hope people out there enjoyed our talk today and get inspired as well. And hopefully we my aim with this podcast is to, yeah, get people out there and at least try it at once in their life. You can always go back to your old life. It's always there.
It's always there.
It will always wait for you. So just try it once, and I'm sure you're not going to
Exactly.
regret it. So thank you so much for joining me, and thank you so much for tuning in today. And this was it from the Digital Nomad Mom podcast. The next episode is already on its way, so stay tuned. And if you haven't done so, then please click subscribe so you never miss the next episode. All right. Thanks so much and take care, everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.